joined by Will Gunter from the all-new Early Game on 107.5 The Game in Columbia, South Carolina. Will making the appearance each and every week for us to talk South Carolina football and the SEC. It's been 2 consecutive division titles for Florida. Will, they have a quarterback situation as well. One of the few teams in the SEC not returning a guy that they can count on and at least have an idea of what he's going to do, although Malik Zaire would obviously bring that to the table based on his work at Notre Dame. So, Will, Jim McElwain appears at the podium. In terms of what you heard from him and the other players, how does Florida set up?
Well, I picked Florida second. I took Georgia number 1, and the reason being is Florida's got to replace 6 defensive players, and I think that leads to how Jim McElwain kind of presented himself at media days, a man with a chip on his shoulder, a coach with a chip on his shoulder that is not getting enough credit for the accomplishments he's had at Florida so far. I mean, there were people last year that weren't very happy with him. The bottom line is his offense the last 2 seasons have actually ranked lower than Will Muschamp's offenses when Will Muschamp was at Florida, especially Muschamp's last year with Kurt Roper. And that gets kind of glossed over because Jim McElwain has had fantastic defenses left by the players by the players from the previous staff, from Will Muschamp's staff. And so we're going to learn a lot about Jim McElwain. I thought Jim McElwain's speech was more about him getting back to his roots, which is an offensive football team. Now, whether it's Malik Zaire, who started, I think, a total of 2 or 3 games in his career. Remember, this is a guy who had a lot of expectations, got injured against Virginia, broke his ankle. Deshaun Kaiser came in 2 years ago and took that job and ran with it. And so we still don't have a resume on Malik Zaire. We assume he's a good quarterback. He was the starter for Brian Kelly. He was the starter for Notre Dame. But we still need to see more of Malik Zaire, and you're going to bring him into a system that already has a guy they really like in Felipe Franks. I think that makes for an interesting 2017 for Florida as they adjust from a lot of those defensive players left by Will Muschamp to a new defensive scheme, new defensive regime, along with a quarterback situation that I think is going to be very entertaining. You got to feel Malik Zaire went to Florida having some assurances he's coming in to be the starter against Michigan, and it's his job to lose.